Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this cute little guy right here. This is the Kizer Knives Yorkie. First off though, in the name of full disclosure, let me grab my sign here. This was sent to me directly from Kizer Knives. Kizer said, hey Nick, you want to check out a Yorkie? I said, as always, I'm going to talk about the good, the great, the bad, the ugly. It might be a gem, might be junk. They still sent it along. That's very brave of them, but we have to acknowledge this is probably the best quality controlled one of these to ever leave the factory, and I'm doing my best here to let that not affect my review. And certainly, given the fact that I've paired some of the stuff they've sent me before, they seem to be okay with both sides of the continuum there. But thank you very much for that, Kizer. Keep that one in mind. Next thing, let's do a size comparison, because the size of this knife is notably small. Here it is against the Spyderco. Here it is against the Ontario Rat number 2, right here, and your Ontario Rat number 1. So you can see here it is sort of right in that, it's in a pretty small territory here. In terms of actual functional blade length, it's actually not far off of the Delica. It's just a shorter blade as you would actually measure it. And let's go ahead and measure that blade real quick. Well, I've got the ruler out right here. We are coming in here at just over 2.5 inches. So a little bit of a downside for people in 2.5 inch areas, but still, it's definitely it's a nice thing. And finally, this knife is designed and, well, it's designed by Ray Laconico. And I actually asked the guy, hey, Ray, how do you pronounce your name? He said Laconico. So now I know that, right? But anyways, this is done by Ray Laconico. You could probably tell that in about half a second by staring at it for about half a second. But nevertheless, that's who made this guy. And let's go ahead and jump into the good, the great, the bad, the ugly of this very interesting little knife right here. So on the good side, to start with, it has a very nice build quality. I mean, overall, it's pretty well done. It's got a good detent here. It's got nice overall finishing. It's the blade is a little bit stonewashy, a little bit mirrory. You can't really argue with that. The engraving on it is good. The Laconico on the back here is nice. The action on the whole is pretty decent here. There's no major complaints. And it's got a lock bar inside. It's got a whole bunch of good little things going on here. And the clip on it is pretty solid as well. Overall, this is not a badly made knife. And then this little hole with the good chamfers and whatnot. It's a finely made knife. This is a nice thing from Kizer. Kizer has done a very nice job here. Next thing, there are a couple of nice little details here. One of the things is an internal lock bar relief. What I mean by that is you got this little area here which thins out the lock bar a little bit so you can get it, with the right flex. And on many knives, for instance, this is another Laconico design. This is the Monterey Bay Knives EZC. You can see here that on the outside, whereas here it's on the inside. That just leaves this guy feeling a little bit cleaner. You've got this very nice little groove right here that actually mirrors the lock bar cutout on the knife, so that's kind of a cool little detail. You can see that the clip was customized for it, and by the way, it is a nice clip. The clip works quite well, and you've got this little speed hole right here, which in addition to, it's actually not the point of balance, so you can't spin it around like a fidget spinner or anything, but at the same time, that's a way to injure yourself. Nevertheless, it is a nice little detail, and I don't know, reduces the weight a little bit. I mean, in theory, it does. So, there are some nice little design details here, and I kind of do like the overall shape of the blade. It's not an unattractive knife, particularly if you're picking up what Laconico is putting down here. So, that's good. And then finally, on the good side, I'm digging the blade. The blade here is, it's an S35 VN steel, as you can see written right there. Solid steel. It is in a very nice little shape, a little bit of flat, a little bit of belly, nice tip. It is actually quite thin behind the edge, and the stock thickness on this guy is pretty reasonable for being a smaller knife. And it has a very nice little sharpening choil here. I mean, the blade on this knife is very, very nice. So I like very much the blade here. I think it's a well-done blade, and I love seeing some of the thin factory edges that Kizer's been putting out lately. That's just nice to see. So to me, all of that is the good. It's got a nice blade. It's got some nice details here and some nice build quality. On the great side, to me, and this is 100% biased, some people would probably prefer call the blade the nice part, but for me, I actually like the size of this guy. I think this does actually, it is a cute little size here. And for people especially living in an under 3 inch or under 2.57 or 2.75 inch area, this is going to be a nice little choice. It's a high-end, well, okay, maybe not high-end by some standards, but it is a nice little frame lock here that is kind coming in a range that's going to be legal for a lot of folks. So I like seeing that very much, and it is very carryable. This can fit in the pocket very, very nicely. It's absolutely tiny, and it's kind of at that level where for a lot of people it's going to be more cute than scary. Certainly, people will find a way to be terrified, but this guy is not going to really send too many people running. So to me, at least, that's what's great here. Is it's a nice size. It's compact, but it's still got enough stuff going on here in terms of the blade to be able to do a lot of your generalized cutting tasks. So on the bad side, the price on this guy is pretty neutral. It's kind of not good. It's not bad. It's exactly calibrated to neither offend nor impress. If it were a little cheaper, I'd be like, okay, it's a good price. If it was a little more expensive, I'd be like, okay, that's not. But right now, it's just like, yeah, the quote Stringer Bell, it's a 50 degree or 60 degree day. So it is what it is. Or is it 50? I forget. That's a good show. Whatever. Beside the point, that's The Wire. Anyways, not reviewing The Wire, reviewing the Yorkie. Next thing, the flipper tab on this guy. I really do firmly believe that these style flipper tabs where you got a ski jump here do need a little tiny bit of texturing. Even if it's a very light bit of texturing, where's a good example of some light flipper texturing? Let's see here. Okay, come on, people. Either way, it's around. You've seen this from time to time. Just a little tiny bit of texturing would help, especially if you are in a wetter situation. A couple of times I flipped this guy, and I actually didn't flip this guy because I just slipped off the top there. So just a little tiny bit of subtle waving would probably make this guy a little bit nicer in that domain. Next thing, this is absolutely a little bit of a pocket pecker here. The Laconico flipper tab like this works fine, but it is absolutely a little bit on the sharper side. It's relatively rounded, but that's not something I'm super in love with. But okay, whatever, not a huge deal. Next thing, the clip on this guy, as you are holding it, is a little bit of a hot spot. You're gonna feel this guy digging in. There's not a whole lot of. It's a relatively big clip or a relatively thin clip. Pardon me. So you're gonna feel that a little bit more in your hand as you're using it. There is also a little bit of a hot spot on this guy on the corner right here, the corner of the lock bar cutout here. Not a huge deal, but it's a situation. Next thing, this guy is a little bit on the slippery side. It's okay. You've got this little flipper tab here. Does serve actually to prevent. It serves as a bit of a blade guard, basically. It's going to be hard to slide through up on there, but at the same time, this kind of finish on it is not going to be the best in any kind of lubricated situation. So that's definitely a thing. Next thing, it's maybe a little bit heavier than you might expect, because there isn't really anything too much in the way of internal milling. I mean, they put a hole in it, but that's not exactly the same thing. Put this down here. We're coming in at 2.86 ounces. I mean, it's just over an ounce an inch. It's not terrible, but it's a dense little guy. But more importantly, the weight distribution on this guy is a little bit weird. It's kind of hard to describe exactly, but I mean, it's just like the balance is a little bit further back, and it just feels a little strange in the hand as a result. I'd like there to be a little bit less junk in the trunk here. That would make it maybe feel a little nicer in hand. That's kind of a nitpick. I'll be real here. It's not a bad thing, but it's definitely a thing. So to me, at least, that's what's bad, is that the weight distribution's a little weird because the knife is a little bit heavier than you might expect. It's a little bit slick. There's some hot spots in there in the clip in that corner cutout here. The flipper could use a little jimping, and the price is exactly neutral. I am almost okay. I'm almost good with it. I'm almost bad with it. They hit their goal right, I guess. Ugly-wise, there's nothing particularly ugly here, so let's go into the final conclusion. Final conclusion is that this is a fine little knife. I mean, if you're looking for a relatively small little flipper frame lock, this is not a bad choice at all. It's a nice blade, solid handle, nice construction. I mean, the action on it is fine too. Yeah, it's got a couple of little hot spots, a little slick. The balance is a little weird, and the price is uninspiring but unproblematic. But it's absolutely fine. Honestly, my main objection is a little bit more amorphous, and maybe it's not even fair. You're welcome to dismiss all of this as pure bias. But this, to me, I've talked on a number of occasions about knives feeling like they need a why. And I don't quite get this one. It's a nice knife, absolutely 100%. I bet there are going to be people out here who are just going to love it if you're looking for the size, but it just doesn't seem to clear its own orbit. And part of this, I think, is maybe Laconico fatigue. I don't need to wear a watch anymore because I can tell the time just fine by looking at new Ray Laconico production releases. I mean, he is a hugely prolific designer, and that's in some ways a good thing, but just in the last little while, we've had the Monterey Bay EZC, the Monterey Bay Min Pin, the Mass Drop Key, the Alliance EZE, the Kizer Gemini, well, it's been around for a while, the Ursa Minor, the Yorkie, and honestly, it feels a little bit tricky to tell them all apart sometimes. Just to give you an example, the other day, I took this guy out. This is the Monterey Bay EZC EZC, and I handed it to somebody who said, "Oh, the Yorkie." It's like, and this is a knife person, by the way. This is somebody who and I was like, no, but you have a really good point by with that era. I kind of wish there was a little bit more diversity in the Laconico lineup there. I kind of want to be shocked by him at some point in time, and not like with an electrical device, but just like I'd like to see something a little bit like whoa. And honestly, it's also not a knife that I'm super compelled with, because to me I prefer the EZC here. Did I say EZE? This is the EZC. Speaking of confusing. But anyways, I do prefer this guy as an everyday carry tool. There were a lot of very strong similarities here. I mean, they feel like very similar knives in many ways, but this one just, the overall ergonomics on it are a little bit better. It feels a little bit nicer in the hand. The blade is just as nice, if not ground a little bit more thinly. I prefer this one by a pretty decent margin. And it's a little bit less well done than the Keen, for instance. I think like the Keen was it was a more nicely made knife. It was made to much more exacting standards, and the price was actually a little bit lower. And it feels a little bit less variation from the norm from like the Ursa Minor, which was a very nice little piece that felt like it had a little bit more character. And so my overall feeling on this guy is that it is a very nice knife. If you want a small knife that'll cut well, this is a pretty solid choice. And if you love it, look, get it. I'm not going to object to it in the least. If you're thinking about to yourself, wow, this looks great, I want this knife, then buy the damn knife. It's a solid piece. You will enjoy it. And frankly, if this is your first Laconico, if this is the very first knife you've ever had from him and you're liking what you're picking up what he's putting down, then just do it. You're not going to object to it there. But if you've been in the game for a while and you have some other things that Ray's done, like the EZE or EZC here or the Keen or something like that, I don't know. I'm not quite sure that there's enough here to make this Yorkie new. Get it? New York? New Yorkie? No? Okay. Maybe this little Yorkie isn't going to be yapping its name at you? No? Okay. You won't be pursuing this guy doggedly? Okay, anyways, I should stop. So, like I said, it's a very nice knife. If you like it, go for it. Otherwise, I don't know. There were a bunch of fish in the sea, and most of them have been designed by Ray anyways. So there you go. Hope this has been interesting to you. And have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.